The freedom-fighting farmers in Belgium have once again decided to rise up against their globalist government and the net zero agenda. We talked about this a few months ago. I think back in March there was a wave in Belgium, but in this video we're going to be talking about what's been going on over the last 24 hours across Belgium, because we've had a number of protests led by, of course, the farmers, the Defense Force, which is basically like a sister organization to the FDF in the Netherlands. It's got a similar name, similar branding, but it is based in Belgium. They seem to be much more organized than us, any of these groups, whether it's the farming community or any other group that is in danger. We're not really that organized yet in this country when it comes to these sort of issues, but in Canada, with the truckers, with these guys in Belgium and the Netherlands, they are very proactive and they've decided to rise up. We have a couple of videos I'm going to show you that, and in this video we're going to explain what is going on. What is this clash between the government, establishment and farmers? Not just farmers, but ordinary people as well. Let's go to the first video. Huge group of people led by farmers across Belgium decided to organize this, obviously led by the Defense Force. And the issue that we have actually in this video, we're going to be talking about how the FDF leader, who is Bart Dickens, has decided to say that the agricultural sector is actually being treated unequally in the nitrogen reduction dodgy dossier, and that the government is using incorrect figures on nitrogen emissions. So the government decided to listen to the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab's group in regards to reducing nitrogen, right? And the idea was to make the world cleaner and also at the same time make sure that they're not damaging the farming community. That's what they said. But that's not what the dossier is saying, because they've completely messed up the numbers. They played with numbers again as usual. Similar situation in the Netherlands, but obviously the Netherlands have different issues as well when it comes to land grabbing. But in Belgium, the obsession that the leadership has with the nitrogen reduction policy is not going too well, up to a point where even ordinary people who haven't been political until now are rising up saying this is just completely disgusting. You're destroying people's lives, and now they're promoting ideas to make sure they are clamping down, doing a proper crackdown on protesters and monitor their behavior. And again, part of these programs, these globalist programs, is to digitalize the whole world to make sure they can monitor us. That's why what I use, I protect my identity online by having Atlas VPN. As you guys know, Atlas VPN, our great partners, have a summer deal, 85% off, £1.50 a month. On top of that, 3 months extra. I'll explain more at the end of the video. Now, let's talk about what's going on, because one of the videos that we have is actually showing the other angles of these protests, and we're going to go and see what Bart Dickens had to say as well about the leadership of the country.
Wat er gebeuren, wij moeten gewoon gelijkgesteld worden aan de landen, aan de industrie, en ze moeten de juiste cijfers gebruiken, want vandaag worden er foutieve cijfers gehanteerd.
Worden toch wel door heel veel instellingen, organisaties ook gebruikt?
Ja, dat klopt, en door andere professoren die dat ook onderzocht hebben, wordt dat tegengesproken.
Okay, so what are we dealing with in this situation? Essentially, what we have is Dickens saying that the NVA, which is their new Flemish alliance, the guys in charge, want to destroy the agricultural sector, and they're not even listening to any of the recommendations coming from the community leaders. The problem with this is that these guys pretending that to be the grown-ups, the adults, the pragmatic government in Belgium. They're not too socialist, they're not ideological communists, but in reality, it doesn't really matter, because the globalization of politics across the West means it doesn't matter if you're center-right or center-left. Everybody's going with globalization. So everybody's going with corporatism, regardless of which party, which mainstream party is in power. Now, the World Economic Forum back in 2018 started talking about this, saying, "You've heard of a carbon footprint. Now it's time to cut your nitrogen footprint." And this is exactly how they infiltrate debates and policies. Because every time we criticize the World Economic Forum on this channel and many other independent new media outlets, there are people in the establishments or friends of mine in London, political people, who'd say, well, these are just conspiracy theories. You are claiming that they have an impact on our policy decisions. Well, we're not saying that they directly essentially go and sitting in the office instead of government ministers, but what they are doing is they are acting as a massive hybrid between a think tank and a lobby group, and they basically train up people by taking them to their conferences and forums. And we now literally have, because Klaus Schwab said that he literally has government ministers in the Canadian government, Justin Trudeau's cabinet, and many others who have been trained by people in Davos. That's what they said. I'm not saying that. So they are basically, all they have to do is just write an article or have a panel discussions about the topic, and a few years later that becomes policy anyway, without asking the consent of the public. So that's how the model works. It doesn't have to be direct dictatorship. They don't do that, but they're doing it through the back door. So it's not visible, but it's quite open and public because they have a website. It's not really some sort of secret group. Anyway, let's talk about this nitrogen reduction policy, because the whole thing is achieved by ending livestock farms, minimizing use of fertilizer, and eventually meat consumption. So this is the end goal. And this is what they've also talked about in the Belgian government and in various other places, including the Netherlands. And that conversation is also reaching the United Kingdom. And with all the protests that you've seen, the vegan protests, the political vegan protests who are going around and attacking people who are eating meat, my personal opinion, my biased opinion, is the same as the climate eco-activists. It feels like they are the front pawns, the soldiers, the pawns that are being used to cause chaos first and create the debate, put pressure, and they will be the scapegoats as well, saying the cause is right, but the messenger is not good, but they will still implement the policies through governments. So that's exactly what's been going on with the Extinction Rebellion or Just Stop Oil. So what the narrative is, these guys don't have the right tactic, but the message is right. So the same thing is happening with political vegans, because they're saying, well, yeah, it wasn't nice that they went to a restaurant and attacked people who were eating steak, but let's talk about reducing meat or creating artificial meat. This is why they want to control us. This is exactly why they want to completely monitor our behavior, a version of social credit system in the future. And we're saying it now, people saying we are nutters, but eventually, if it happens, when it happens, then they're going to be like, well, you never told us, you never warned us. Yes, we did. That's why you have to protect your, at least, digital identity now before it's too late. It's not the perfect solution, but you have to still have some sort of protection. As I said, Atlas VPN is your go-to product. If you want to try 85% off, £1.50 a month. On top of that, 3 months extra, you get full email protection, ad blocker, and you hide your identity. So the big tech and governments can't completely rule over you and can't completely monitor you on a daily basis. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.